Phil, I just want to
Yes.
confirm we can kick it.
Can we kick it?
I'm asking you, can we kick it? Are we permitted to kick it? Do we have clearance to kick it? Do we have any further confirmation that we need prior to kicking it?
It being specifically...
It. Exactly.
Oh.
Can we kick?
Can we kick it?
Can we kick it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. But just to be sure, you're saying we can kick it.
Yes, we can.
So we can kick it.
Yes, we can.
Emergency podcast. They did a thing, so we gotta talk about it. Emergency podcast. It's an emergency. Emergency podcast. Shut up, oh yeah, shut up, oh yeah, shut up. Emergency podcast. It's an emergency.
Hey, a hearty hello to you all, and welcome to Emergency Podcast, the Austin FC podcast, where we talk about all the Austin FC emergencies, the MLS marketing emergency, where they have redone Can We Kick It as part of a campaign that we're going to get into a little bit. And then, of course, the World Cup emergencies, including something that you stealthily spotted on Friday as we were watching the Spain-Belgium game from our separate living rooms, namely that Belgian coach Rudi Garcia was using a really crappy multi-pen, and that got us to a late first half discussion of various pens that we love. Moisés, how are you doing, and which pen is your favorite in all the world?
That's tough to say. I'll plug my buddy's company and say the Chiullán Kakari from Japan, a line of pump piston filling fountain pens. Nobody is going to know what I'm talking about. But in terms of the pen at hand, Rudi Garcia using the classic Bic multi-pen. You know it because of the white top and the blue bottom half of it. You can get them for $3.
Elementary school.
Yeah, I mean, elementary school, you see a kid with that multi-pen, that kid is working on another level. Not only are they writing with a pen, they are writing with multiple colors of pen at their disposal at any given moment.
If they so choose.
I mean, are there better multi-pens? Sure. But a classic is a classic for a reason, Phil. Yeah, it really says something about that game that we had to find something to talk about because not a whole lot was happening. Nothing.
Well, and then Belgium scored.
Yeah, and then Belgium scored. And
I'm Team Baron Fig, by the way. Just want to get that in there.
Yeah. There are exciting games, and then there are games played by apparently the top-ranked teams in the world that have been kind of hot and cold going through the quarterfinals. How do you feel the quarterfinals went leading into the semifinals? I feel like we're headed for fireworks. Didn't feel like we were quite there in what should have been one of the more exciting knockout stages.
No. I mean, I enjoyed England-Norway in parts. Yeah. Parts of it lulled, but parts of it were fun. Argentina-Switzerland had its moments. I would have much preferred Argentina-Colombia. I guess that gets us. I had a kind of question for you, which I'm kind of answering myself right now, is what are you happiest about and what are you most bummed about at this stage? And to me, what I'm most bummed about, I guess we can start there, go negative and then positive, is that Colombia indeed did not make the quarterfinals and that it was Switzerland instead of Colombia. Although they did give Argentina a better game than I thought they would until they fell apart at the end. But again, Briel and Bolo diving, a second mistaken identity card in this tournament. Yeah. Don't dive, kids.
Yeah. And so, okay, here's the thing that I'm bummed about is, yes, that was a mistake. Yes, Mbolo deserves the criticism that he's gotten. But where were the yellows for Argentina that Switzerland was getting? Yellows for simulation, yellows for Messi shoving his finger in the ref's face. Various things that Argentina is just allowed to do that other teams aren't allowed to do. I'm most bummed over the course of the tournament about the fact that FIFA and Argentina don't beat the allegations when it comes to allegations that certain teams just get treated differently by refs for some reason. Can't figure out why. Just certain things get called all day and all night by VAR on one team, but not a particular team. Erroneously, I thought it was just Argentina that made it all the way to a semifinal without playing a single top 10 ranked team, but England beat them to that by about an hour on the same day. There's a sort of general underdog narrative that I've talked about being a fan of getting to see. Like, you want to see something crazy happen. That's a given. But when it comes to specific rooting interests, yes, the majority of the most favored teams and the majority of total teams in the tournament came from Europe. And so a high proportion of European teams in the later stages, very likely. High proportion of European teams among the top ranked in the FIFA World Rankings. Sure. All that aside, it doesn't make it fun to watch the World European Cup every 4 years, or the World European Cup with special guest Brazil, or special guest Southwestern European superpower Argentina. People have decried the expansion to 48 teams. I think there are definitely some valid reasons for that. I liked that it brought more of the world to the table, more of the world that don't have the financial advantages, don't have the multi-generational development advantages of various soccer superpowers that often and almost always end up floating to the top of these brackets.
So does that mean you're going to love 64 teams in 2030 even more?
Exactly where I was going. People are decrying 64 teams in advance. Once they expanded it to 48, I was like, 64 is a done deal at this point, because it was obviously the direction that they were going. Is that going to limit who and how countries can host? Sure. I think we see more coalition hosts being literally the only thing that's possible.
Not that that's bad.
I don't think it's a bad thing. Yeah. It is a more global sport than ever because of the theoretical accessibility of streaming in more parts of the world. Certainly a big part of the money comes from the fact that more TV rights equals more money. I feel like the expansion to 64 teams, if they can maybe not bias the scheduling in favor of a good time for soccer matches to be seen on TV in Europe, and just what local time is in the host country, so that we don't have semifinals kicking off at 2 in the middle of the afternoon in the middle of a week.
Right.
I want more Cabo Verde stories. I want more Curacao stories. I want more of those giant killer possibility upsets, part of which relies on some more evenness in terms of officiating. Some of that relies on some of those teams preparing. Honestly, I think one of the big reasons Cabo Verde did so well is that they prepared to be defending Helm's Deep from the Orcs early on. We're going to be disadvantaged when it came to attacking power. They're going to be disadvantaged in a lot of different ways, and that very much is, to me, a template for a variety of teams that are better resourced and have tried, I think, erroneously to go harder than maybe they're capable of, because they can't necessarily go toe-to-toe precisely.
I would say that Cabo Verde did take advantage of their opportunities pretty brilliantly when they had them. It's just they had to pick their spots.
Exactly. It's, do you want to take a million shots, or do you want to make the shots that count? And that has resulted in, to me, one of the absolute best goals of the tournament by Sidney Lopez. Absolute one of the best goals of the tournament by far. I think that there are always going to be negatives with something that involves this much money, this much visible corruption. Apparently, the FBI has been investigating Argentina's FA for 4 years, and there's a bunch of strange things that have been going on with money down there. In Argentina? What? No. You're kidding me. Oh, how's that possible? But that's always going to be a thing. And what has to counterbalance that is something that moves the global sport forward, that moves it forward as something that is, it's a poor kid's game that you should be able to play in an empty lot with a melted together ball of trash. It doesn't have to be the sort of gentleman's game that is played by very heavily financed private clubs and that sort of thing, as we've seen pay-to-play limit access in the United States. We need more of those kinds of city pitches where kids that do not have access to the funding or the freedom to travel or the means to travel and that sort of thing in countries across the world have the freedom to dream of possibly playing on the world's biggest stage, despite all probabilities going against him. I feel like it's never going to be perfect for sure, and it's never going to be quite as good as I would want it to be in terms of pushing the needle in the direction of the right side of history. But that doesn't mean that the Men's World Cup can't keep trying to do that. And I saw a lot of that getting through the dark clouds of corruption hanging over a lot of stuff. The poorly managed event management aspects of things also causing issues. The insane pricing of tickets, making it so that there's a World Cup happening in my home country, and there was just no way I was going to be able to get to any of these games, even the cheapest of the group stage games. If maybe I had hedged earlier on with the Cabo Verde Saudi Arabia game in Houston, if I'd planned, maybe I could have made that happen.
Exactly.
Maybe.
But France, Spain is the cost of a mortgage.
Yeah.
To half a mortgage now, but still.
Just half a mortgage, that's all.
Yeah. Mortgage payment, we should say.
Yeah.
Not a whole mortgage, but
that's
the final.
Yeah, thinking about kind of the global aspects of this World Cup, that's where I'm at, is that I'm pleasantly surprised that a fair amount of good stuff got in through the cracks around something that in various ways was less of a disaster than people were projecting it to be. They were like, oh, the stadiums are all going to be empty. They were not empty. Stadiums have not been empty. Attendance has not been an issue. Interest has not been an issue. It feels like, from what we're seeing on social media, loads of nations that are not even in the tournament are paying attention to this because it has the weight of an Olympics where the only sport is soccer, which is kind of awesome. And to me, that's the biggest plus to the expansion of the tournament to 48 teams and now 64 teams is you've got to dominate part of the calendar. That's what makes the Final Four, the NBA Finals, what the NBA Finals are, the World Series. The World Cup should have this kind of every 4 years in the off cycle of the Summer Olympics kind of weight to it. So yeah, pleasantly surprised in a lot of ways that I didn't expect to be.
Yeah, because again, you remember last time it was in November and December, which was a really strange time to have it and did not work out that well as a result of that. So what are you happiest about? I mean, there's a lot of happy sprinkled in there, but is there one thing that's making you smile in particular?
I think a piece of it is that, and we'll get into a different aspect of this in a bit, I think that the notion of growing the global game in the United States is something that there have been a lot of hot takes flying about how MLS bungled this and, oh, the U.S. went out at this one point and therefore who cares about it? Well, a lot of that was coming from the same people who have big if I were king of the world complexes. And to be fair, I don't think those people are doing much to grow the global game in the United States themselves. And they may be some of the people that, you know, there's that meme of the stick figure drawings of people at a party where there's like a guy in the corner and people dancing. And it's like, they're the guy in the corner going, well, the problem is that nobody's listening to me about how fun it is to talk to me at parties. I don't know that that the broader audience that you want to come in is listening to those voices in the first place. I think it's done the job of getting people paying attention to or interested in what's going on, like an Olympics with just as much corruption, it seems. That's really been the best thing, is that despite a lot of people wanting to gatekeep what growing the game means, awareness and people talking about it are not a problem. People are talking about this stuff, and if anything, it's distracted from a lot of different troubling world events and crowded out what everybody's talking about, to the point that as we're recording this, the trending topic on various social media networks is no World Cup, because people are like, what do I do now? There's no soccer.
Right. Yeah.
What a sad state of affairs.
For sure. Yeah, I'm happiest, even though it is kind of weird that we get all these great underdog stories, we get all this tumult, and then essentially we have 4 number 1 seeds that are awaiting us Tuesday and Wednesday. I think those are going to be really incredible matches, and I'm really looking forward to seeing those. And there are really good narratives that are going to come out of whatever finals this should be. I still think it's going to be France, Argentina. There is nothing that dissuades me of that, although Argentina seems to have maybe been compromised a little bit by close calls against Cabo Verde and then Egypt and then maybe to a lesser degree Switzerland. So I think England could theoretically take them, and a France-England final would be fascinating, but also England making it to a final would be really, really strange. But, it can't happen. It's possible. It's right there waiting. So I'm looking forward to these matches. Of course, they are smack dab in the middle of a work day. So here's that, but excited nonetheless that we are coming near the end, and the end is delivering this, although sprinkling in a Norway in there would have been a nice thing, perhaps. So those fans were fun. The rowing fans, and then the one who steadfastly refused to row because it was historically inaccurate.
According to
Much
him,
respect.
according to him, and then it turned out that it was not actually as historically inaccurate as he was trying to. Yeah, but also there was rowing. It's just because there was sailing doesn't mean there wasn't also rowing, man.
You can sail and row. All right.
Yeah, as somebody who studied the world's greatest shipwrecks as an anthropology student, I'm sorry, he's not correct. He's not correct. I read very large books about this stuff.
Well, speaking of shipwreck, should we talk about MLS marketing?
Wow. Wow. Shot across the bow to Ogilvy.
Wow, that was mean of me. MLS returns on July 16th and 17th. All matches are returning on Apple TV. And so in preparation for that, MLS has introduced their new campaign to piggyback on the World Cup success to bring that to MLS. And they have titled it, "Thanks, World. We'll take it from here." I think they meant that kind of a little bit more energetically, but to me, there's kind of some Eeyore energy in that. And then, as we alluded to, the classic Tribe Called Quest song, "Can I Kick It?" produced by DJ Premier and performed by Samara Sin. Available to stream now exclusively on Amazon Music. Apparently, as they are saying, this song being remade is to capture the energy. It delivers a modern high-tempo sound that captures the energy of MLS today. There's a lot of marketing that's being thrown at this. As you astutely observed in our prep, Moisés, there are a lot of players featured in this who were at the media days in January, including Diego Luna, who I'm sure the MLS brass was not pleased to find out did not make the MLS or did not make the final USM&T roster. And as the tournament developed, particularly in the Belgium game, Diego Luna would have been good to have in there, I would say. But what do we think of all this? I think it's good that we have MLS trying to indeed piggyback on the success of the World Cup. But is this the way to go about it necessarily? Or do we see problems afoot for this approach that they're trying to take?
So I might surprise you a little bit here, because there are parts of this that I think are great. I do not like the slogan. I'm a marketing professional by trade. I have danced on both sides of the firewall. I feel like "Thanks, World, we'll take it from here" is so bro-y U.S. soccer coded.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like it. It kind of asserts this... Bro.
There's a hint of American exceptionalism to it, right?
Bro, our league is so exceptional, bro. Do you know how exceptional our league is, bro? It is basically...
Thank you, all other countries.
The
Thank you, all
most
other
exceptional
for doing the heavy
league.
lifting. We got it now.
Okay. We are the soccer nation, also plus Canada. So, we're kind of a big deal. So, yeah. I think it's good to highlight all the global talent, many of whom figured in this tournament, various of whom, they kind of wedged Brandon Vasquez back in the back, knowing that he wasn't going to play, but he is a big marketing pull. Some spreadsheet somewhere told them that
wedged many of these players into the MLS All-Star roster. As we pointed out, 13 of the players on that roster playing on July 29th in Charlotte, featured in the World Cup, including Steven Moreira, playing with Cabo Verde, right? So, and the Columbus Crew. So we have some faces that are maybe not as familiar as, say, a Sung Hyun Min, or obviously the American players that are featured in this, Tim Ream, obviously he making the team as a representative of Charlotte, who will be hosting.
Yeah, David Beckham, Matthew McConaughey, Magic Johnson, Kevin Durant being mixed into the main ad, showing off their celebrity adjacency. The league's always fond of that kind of thing. To me, the part of this that is best. I don't love the 8-figure investment, including ticket giveaways, because I'm sure that they are overvaluing the value of the ticket. They're not literally spending the money. It's money that they are choosing to not make. Welcome to Marketing Speak. Marketing 101. We lie. It's what we do. That's just part of it. The genius part of it, I think, is the timing of things. And I don't know that a thing that I've seen, a thing that I've heard is people saying, I can't believe MLS fumbled this. Why have they not been relentlessly advertising on these broadcasts for weeks now? Well, because if I see, for example, I'm watching Telemundo via Peacock. If I see the Ugly Betty Verizon commercial one more time, I'm going to blow my brains out. There are various of these ads that they have the opposite effect if you are hammering people with them for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I think that timing things for these final stages of the tournament at a time when, oh, guess what? Fox Broadcast has a couple days off. What a great time to drop a couple days worth of MLS matches when everybody's like, no World Cup, me want soccer. Great. Guess what? Here it is. If MLS is real smart, they will pull all of the Thursday matches outside of the firewall and make it so that people can watch them for free. I don't know that they're doing that. They should.
And they're not just matches that are random matches. We've got Montreal-Toronto, big rivalry. Seattle-Portland, big rivalry. Chicago-Vancouver, on its face, not big rivalry, but we've got
big teams.
Dad coaching against son.
Yeah. They are solid matchups.
You get an LA Derby, you get El Trafico on the Friday.
Solid matchups. And the Friday night, you've got both matches on Fox broadcast, not a Fox channel, on Fox broadcast. That to me is solid. That is good. That is the way that it should be. You have these holes in your big tournament schedule because people have to have rest days. So excellent. Here is your domestic soccer league. Make it habitual. Become MLS watchers. And I got to say, it's got to be partly credited to the expansion of the field and having more soccer that has been happening, that has just been getting, I don't want to get problematic with referring to people kicking drug habits and that sort of thing, but it really has been like going into withdrawal, suddenly not having 4 matches a day or whatever. And marketing is a little bit like drug dealing. It's just what the product is. And I think that the timing is such that, like you say, they're providing solid matchups. They are filling spots in the schedule where people are like, all right, well, now when do I watch soccer? Right now. Right now. And then also next Wednesday and other days. And also there will be Leagues Cup, and there will be the Titans of MLS and the Titans of Liga MX. I think that the timing is working out well, and a lot of the complaints are coming from people that are already hooked on the product and paying attention to it. If the goal is to get more people who have been soccer curious into the soccer stable, I think we're seeing it happen, much to the chagrin of people who said, oh, it'll never work. Oh, it'll never happen. Things just are never going to really take off, and it's all Mauricio Pochettino's fault, and he should be taken out and shot. Come on. Everybody's talking about soccer, and I think they have actually planned things well, even though I would nitpick certain aspects of some of the things that have been said.
Yeah, I think we're going to see, I would imagine we're going to see a big push Tuesday, Wednesday. I think we're going to see that commercial quite a bit, but like you were saying, we're not going to be able to get sick of it before we actually get into those matches on the 16th and 17th, which will then of course lead us into the third place game of the final. And then right out of that, of course, you've got the season resuming for pretty much everybody on the 22nd, which of course, as we're going to talk about in a little bit here, Austin matching up against the Sounders. So anything else on this front in terms of
I was just going to mention
what they are doing?
In the piece from Sports Business Journal, they quoted Andy Loughnane saying that across the 2 different watch events, both the setup at Auditorium Shores for the first couple days and then in cahoots for the rest of the tournament, Austin FC's gotten 70,000 unique registrants for the events, 46,000 of whom, that's more than half, are completely new to their contact database. That's pretty significant. That's pretty significant for Austin FC, and one would hope that you're seeing other MLS clubs having similar success across the country. One would hope. Austin FC is that kind of unique one professional sports team that isn't minor league baseball or hockey in the city as compared to other MLS cities. It is a different environment. It could be that they are seeing a different kind of attach rate, but everybody's talking about soccer. Everybody's talking about soccer.
And I'm guessing that there are other MLS cities that have more free tickets to give away than Austin does.
We are hearing and seeing that, people saying, hey, where's Austin's free tickets? Well, Austin has people willing to pay for the tickets, so I get it. It's not Houston out here. People actually want to go see the soccer team.
It's not Frisco, even though
it's not,
there's like half a stadium
Frisco, which
to
is,
watch things in right now.
Yeah, it's not Frisco, which is definitely not Dallas or Arlington.
All right, so Austin FC 2, I ventured out to Palmer Field for a little bit on a Sunday night, which I usually don't get to do because Sunday night is not as good in my weekly schedule than Friday night when Austin FC2 was previously playing a lot of their games, but wanted to see if they could continue the streak. They did not. They had a 10-game winning streak and they had a 15-match unbeaten streak, which dated back to the second match of the season. The first match of the season, they had lost to Minnesota United FC2. Sunday night, they also lost to Minnesota United FC2, despite in both those games, a pair of goals from Jorge Alastuey. So you can go ahead and blame me for the loss. Sorry, everybody. But I think I was curious. I was curious to see Eric Feliciano, probably not his best night. Clearly, Alastuey is the best player on that squad. He seems too good for MLS Next Pro. Is he good enough for MLS is kind of the persistent question with him. Gonna be curious to see if they go ahead and do the supplemental plus international with him. Of course, with Danny Pereira out the door, going to Montreal, who may actually be playing in that match against Toronto, one of those welcome back to MLS matches happening on the 16th there. But just kind of curious, are they going to maybe give Alastuey some run next to Owen Wolf and Facundo Torres and Jaden Nelson and all the others as we resume the second half of the season, where mathematically they're still having a chance to get into the playoffs, but realistically it seems less likely and, dare I say, maybe a little pointless to get to the playoffs.
I'm never going to subscribe to the notion that it's pointless to make the playoffs, punt on the season halfway in.
I'm being pejorative, but
yeah, I can't subscribe to that. I just have to say that anytime it's brought up. Rolling back to Alastuey, too good for MLS Next Pro. Giving him a first team supplemental contract requires also using an international slot, which with the club in a form of rebuild and reconstruction, why not? Why not? If you end up transferring him at the end of the season, potentially for a profit, okay, you're giving him a better platform to show off what he's worth and build that value if he's going to end up moving. And if he stays, you are giving him the real deal MLS minutes that he needs to prove himself, which he got some of those. Missed taking a sitter in his first minutes in the top league.
Still hasn't gotten many minutes, though.
But he hasn't gotten many minutes. Like, sample size is what I'd go to. And it feels to me like it's not risking anything to put him out there for the second half of this season, and they have a need in that specific position that he is best at.
But I would also, not to be pejorative, but again, if you are vying for a playoff spot, you're probably putting your best players out every game and trying to win 100% of the time. Again, not to say that Alastuey can't be that, but I would rather see him get some run right now than trying to gun and do everything to try to get like an 8 or 9 spot in the conference. I would rather see them see what they have and retool for the sprint season next year.
I don't think
make it a full rebuild rather than.
I don't think they have to pick between the two. I don't think they're mutually exclusive is my point. I feel like we get buried in the stat sheets too much, and we see it as fighting for 8th or 9th, and they are just showing up to every game winning. And sure, there's media training speak that they throw at us, but these guys are not all public speakers, and they're better at kicking the ball and heading the ball than regaling us with their mastery of language. And that's the thing that I take at face value the most often. When we talk to these guys after a match where they have run their heads off for 90 minutes and their brains are indistinguishable from mashed potatoes, I don't always take precisely what they say to be them at their best or their most alert. And that's why, even though they fall back into a lot of those same patterns and repeating some of those same things, going to give it 110%, we're going to rub it in the dirt and feel better, and we move forward together and that kind of thing. I feel like all of these players and their interim coach have not punted on this season. And let's say they make a deep run in Leagues Cup. That doesn't mean that they're punting on the regular season. Let's say Leagues Cup doesn't do so well. That doesn't... I think that we get too tied up in looking at them having picked one strategic thing or another. And that isn't to say that that doesn't happen. It certainly does at different clubs, at different teams. But I took Jim Curtin at his word when he said, I have never known Davy Arnaud to punt on anything. Yeah. And I don't think that it's within his character to go, we're just going to limp through until the sprint season. He sees this as this is his team for the remainder of 2026. And he and all of them have something to prove. They have doubters to prove wrong. They have their own worth to prove whether they are long for this club or not. And I don't think we have enough data in the same way that there aren't enough data points on how Alastuey can perform at the MLS level. Similarly, I don't think that we have enough data to be able to say, well, this is definitively what they're doing, because until July 22nd, they haven't actually started. And we haven't seen what they're capable of, what revisions to line up we can see, what revisions in tactics we might see. And I think that it's better for them that they have had some time to just disconnect and recalibrate. Rather than the thing that Davey said that I disagreed with most was he was like, I wish we could just keep playing. And I'm like, I don't know that that would have helped. I think they needed to get some distance.
And the playing that they were doing is now playing in secret. So social media has not covered any of the first two matches that they've had. We've had to dig in various ways to actually find out what has happened in those two games against Querétaro and Sporting Jacks. So again, that is a choice that's being made, and I understand the choice that's being made, but at the same time, it is a little curious, and from my perspective, it's a little frustrating to not be able to get the glimpses of the team that I would want to see, which is where Saturday's open practice comes in, and we'll talk about that in a second. But got to remind everybody, so Austin is 14th in the conference. They are 6 points below the playoff line right now. They have to jump 5 teams to get to that 9th spot.
A lot of games.
Can be done.
A lot of games. But those other teams are obviously jockeying for position as well. And some of those teams are in transition. You've got Portland, obviously, which just dismissed their coach. You've got San Diego kind of unsure where they're at right now, sitting, again, between Austin and that 9th place. You've got Colorado, who Austin's going to be playing right before that Leagues Cup starts in early August. So going to be curious to see kind of what they do in the preparations. And so Saturday's open practice will open for season ticket holders, that is, right? So Davy Arnaud will apparently be mic'd up, is what I hear, and will be audible to the fans. There are not specific details on time yet. I believe it's 9 a.m., but we don't have anything definitive, but that is supposed to be coming. If you do have season tickets, just keep an eye on your SeatGeek account, and you should be able to spot that well before Saturday, is my guess. In terms of what we're looking at in the next few fixtures, home against Seattle and then a Copa Tejas match in Houston, which I feel like I said, I don't feel like I have enough data to go, here's how likely I think that is, here's how likely I think this is. I think it's good for them that the first one out is a home match. I think it's also good that their second one, even though it's an away match, is a Copa Tejas in-state rivalry match. I think giving them bars to clear, it's motivating. And then just having to play Colorado before playing Tijuana, Puebla, and Club America, all three of them back-to-back at Q2, we will see what the result of that is, and then that plays right into a home Copa Tejas match against Frisco.
Right.
To me, I feel like this is the test of what they're capable of doing for the rest of the season. Could they crumble? Sure. but I don't know that I put any kind of a probability about whether that's going to happen or not, because that feels like willful pessimism. I think it's interesting having this next phase of the season bookended by Seattle matches, where on Wednesday they've got Seattle at home, and just under a month later they go to Seattle. And Seattle's no slouch, solid coach, solid lineup.
Sixth in the conference.
Even
seventh.
Even when a bunch of people are injured, they are still formidable. They are still a challenge to overcome. It'll be interesting to see if Philadelphia is any good a month from now, because they're not right now.
Right.
They've been on break, but Philadelphia is not doing so well.
But we also don't know what a Danny Pereira-less Austin FC is going to look like either.
True. And at the same time, there's also, for me, looking at the calculus of, I'm not saying, oh, Austin's a better team without him, but does the roster build become a little bit more fluid without building around him being factored into things? Does that open things up tactically?
But also the midfield is that much thinner with him gone. And he has been one of the more consistent performers at midfield, even though he might not specifically fit in with Owen Wolf.
Historically, yes. And this isn't getting down on him, but his performance this season, he has not delivered in big ways. We haven't seen that this season. Historically, yes. Huge contribution to the club legend, absolutely. But in terms of the here and now, I feel like depending on how they are refactoring things, maybe he isn't missed as much as we would assume at face value that he would be. Where maybe our perspective is colored a bit by that historical performance and historical contribution to the club. Because it hasn't been there this season, which isn't to say that he won't be a big contributor in Montreal. But sometimes that, well, what are we going to do now? Danny Pereira has always been conventional wisdom disappears. Maybe that opens things up to a more fluid, more flexible midfield. Who knows? I guess we'll find out.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just curious about who you slot into the midfield three to replace him consistently, since he has been that starter. We don't know what kind of summer moves are coming, but again, I don't know how involved Jim Curtin is. Certainly Shemi coming over, that was just kind of part of the package deal with coming to the club. That was not something where Jim Curtin said, yes, he's going to work great in my system. That was something that happened before. The Danny moves, theoretically, he signed off on that, right? Because that is something that was finalized with him as named the head coach. Again, we're not exactly sure who is pulling the strings in the sporting director position. We know that Dave Arnaud's involved. We know that he is at least the face of it from him being quoted in the press release, but just kind of curious as to what they'll really be able to do in the summer window, if anything. And a lot of this and again, without a sporting director in place, with the GAM that they got for Danny, it seems like maybe it is a kind of wait and see what happens in the winter window rather than we're going to try to retool now. But they are going to be, for the time being, maybe a little bit thinner. But like we talked about here a couple minutes ago, that is maybe an opportunity for Alastuey to jump in and take that spot. But again, is he truly MLS level, or is he somebody who is kind of a tweener, right? So is he going to end up in, say, the Spanish second division, or is he going to end up in USL? I don't think that he would necessarily stick around just to be in USL, but I also don't know if he's necessarily got the kind of talent level and the skills and the ability to be a day in, day out MLS starter. I would love to see it. I just don't know that it's there yet.
I think it'd be good if we actually got to see it.
I do too.
He's a talented player, and there's got to be interest elsewhere for him if he doesn't end up sticking around. But especially with the team being in need of midfield relief, it seems like a no-brainer to do something. It does make me wonder, what does that GAM for this season do if they're not going to use it? Why do you execute that trade if you're not going to make use of some of that 2026 GAM? I mean, it rolls over, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So
I don't think they have to use it. They can bank it, and they had the opportunity. It was the situation where we thought, kind of given where they're at right now, moving Pereira or moving Wolf is what was going to generate that much GAM. And again, I don't think they're going to do both. I don't think that they would necessarily move both Pereira and Wolf. I think they are going to try to, at least for I would say for the next year, build around Wolf, because again, he is younger. He has a higher ceiling. After the offseason injury, he's got a little bit more to prove right now, I think, right? So with Danny, we kind of know what he is. Montreal certainly knew enough of what he was to take the flyer on him. I think they're going to try to make him more of a centerpiece. I don't know how that's going to work out for Montreal necessarily. I don't know how that's going to work out for Danny necessarily. It's interesting, but in the meantime, you are down a key midfield piece. And I think that the team is going to maybe be able to restructure a little bit around that. Again, maybe you do creative things with the Zuni and Torres to make that work, but just curious. And again, maybe we'll get some glimpses of that in Saturday practice. Maybe we'll get a sense of how they're going to soldier on without Danny in the midfield as one of those anchors.
The thing that we've seen with the second team is Irvin Torres has not been playing with the second team. He's been training with the first team.
Right.
So I feel like with Burrell being gone, of being very pleased about talking down the capabilities of MLS Next Pro players, the young guns coming up. Well, if you're talking them down, then why are you developing them in the first place?
Not exactly sold on the league.
For me, I would love to see what we're going to see on Wednesday. I think maybe we'll be surprised by a team sheet. Maybe pleasantly, maybe quizzically, maybe we will get it when we see it out on the field. But I think choosing not to activate and make use of these young guns coming up has been to the detriment of the first team. And that's my biggest hope going into this second half, is that conscious holding back of the second team players, the first team contracts, translates to Sabovic has got to earn his spot. And if he has not earned his spot, there's got to be somebody else who is taking that spot.
But for all his flaws, does his experience and does his maturity trump what Irvin Torres has or what Alastuey has? Look, I would rather see the younger players feature, which again kind of gets into, I'm not so concerned about results as to developing those younger players at this stage of the season, but that's going to be an Arnaud choice, right? So ultimately that's going to be up to him, but I would think that Curtin would have some kind of input on that, and Curtin is not afraid to play young players, or at least he was not when he was with Philly.
Davey has been around long enough and knows these players, first team and second team, well enough that his personality is such that he has all the faith in the world in his players, and he expects them to show up and expects them to do their jobs. And I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see trying new stuff that we have not seen done before. If we're seeing the same lineups and some of the same tactics, I'll put it this way, I don't think we're going to see that. I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine we're not going to see some variance in what we've seen. But it's difficult for us to grasp that until we actually see it, right?
Right. Yeah. And again, I'm curious for Saturday just to see what kind of glimpses we'll get. I don't imagine we'll get much. It is really going to come against Seattle on the 22nd. So where, again, hopefully all of you listening get to pocket a Brad Stuver bobblehead.
First 10,000.
Because that is, first 10,000. That's going to be a hot ticket. You think they're going to like set some aside for media, or
hell if I know.
Have to fight people for it, or
when they were giving away baby Yetis to kids, we didn't get any of those. I know. We don't get the swag. People think it's all giveaways and caviar up in the press box, but not so.
It is not. but I want a bobblehead.
It's not that I'm opposed to the notion of having one in my house. It's just, what am I going to use that for? I'm sure that there is a person who will cherish it more than I will. I've got enough crap in my house.
I don't know.
No offense to Brad. It's not that I
don't want that
Brad
to admire. I mean,
it's not that I don't want Brad Stuver in my house. I've got a bunch of crap already in my house. That's all it is.
So Brad Stuver is part of a bunch of crap if you acquire a bobblehead.
No. I've got a bunch of crap in my house. I don't have room for good stuff, is my point. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's what Goodwill is for, man.
But I like my crap. You
gotta make some choices.
I'm too working class for these bougie bobbleheads of actual humans I know. It's also weird. It's not like we go on vacation together and we're best of pals or something. But it's kind of like when I was a college film programmer, we did a Lord of the Rings trilogy late night lock-in marathon event, and we made shirts of Elijah Wood as Frodo and Lord of the Rings late night lock-in and everything. So I had this shirt.
Okay.
And then years later, I became friends with Elijah Wood. And then I had a shirt in my house somewhere that had my friend's face on it. And when I was a film programmer, it wasn't weird. But then I know the guy, and it's like, I don't know. It's awkward. It's strange. So that there is that element of things with the Stuver bobblehead where I'm like,
Okay.
I feel like it's owning some jerseys, owning some club merchandise in general, sure. But a plastic figurine of a player's likeness, it's kind of like having your friend's face on a shirt. It's not the least awkward thing.
Where is that shirt, by the way?
Buried in a box somewhere.
Okay. Are you saying we need to get shirts of each other's faces?
No. No. Far from it. Far from
Good.
it.
I'm relieved. Okay.
Far from it. Far from it. That is the absolute last thing I'm advocating for.
Is there anything else we need to touch on now? That
No, I mean, I think that does it. I think things are going to come in hot and fast in those first 12 days of August. There are 4 matches.
Mm-hmm. Including 3 Leagues Cup matches.
Colorado, 5 days, and then Tijuana, 3 days, then Puebla, 4 days, then Club America.
Mm-hmm.
August is going to be nuts.
Leagues Cup's going to be weird.
It's going to be real weird, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I always welcome the Leagues Cup chaos. You get MLS and Liga MX together, and I think it's great fun. And I think it's entertaining. I like the ridiculous trophy. I just don't know what the quality of soccer is going to be like with the newer compressed schedule. Of course, I did not even think that we were going to have Leagues Cup this year because there's
where were they going to put it
going on?
Where were they going to put it? Well,
where were they going to put it? Here's where they're going to put it. They're going to cram it into August.
Yeah. I'm kind of relieved.
Shove it on in there.
I'm kind of relieved that on the other side of Austin, hosting the All-Star game last year, I'm glad that I just don't care about the All-Star game at all this year. At all. There are 0 Austin players involved. It's in Charlotte. Good for Charlotte.
Okay.
Best of luck to them. I hope they have a great time. I'm glad that I do not have to pay attention to All-Star at all.
Yeah, I'll still tune in, but
yeah, I'll
probably
watch it.
primarily for goalie wars.
I'll probably watch it. I might not even watch it. I don't know. I like having it right here in our backyard and being there for all of it live. I'm still running on the fumes from last year.
Did make a big difference.
Yeah, I'll pay attention maybe. I guess.
What if Messi does show up to this one?
Okay. Okay, Phil. Pigs may still fly.
Right.
I don't know about that one, Phil. They're visibly not actively promoting it with his face on it.
They are not. Yeah.
It's
they made that mistake last year.
It's here's Tim Ream, Sebastian Berhalter, and Matt Freese.
USA.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess we'll leave it there. We'll see how Seattle goes and check in with everybody on the other side of that.
Okay. And then I think programming wise, we may go ahead and preview that game after the practice. So probably recording sometime during the weekend, just keep you informed of what's going on. And again, yeah, it's first time getting to go out to the stadium in over a month now. So, and again, last time we were at the stadium, it was pretty depressing. So I want to kind of get that taste out of my mouth, even if it is just an open practice with Dave Arnaud mic'd up.
This is the best thing I've heard in the history of the 8 years I've been on this planet.